Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Now I'm actually in the process of completing my third faction. So obviously I've done the first faction, now I'm on to the next faction and the next faction after that. So I started off in Covenant, I went to Marauders. No wait, sorry, I think I am in Marauders right now. I went to Syndicate and now I'm in Marauders. So I went from religious zealots to criminals to pirates, right? Now, pirates aren't always criminals, in case anybody thinks that of them. It's just a very heavy topic to discuss. If you want to know what's the difference between a pirate and a criminal and how those things work, whole weird story to actually explain. But nonetheless, so pirates are just free people. The people who don't believe in being ruled by other people's rules, they actually practice freedom in the sense of chaotic freedom, which is the real freedom of the world. You can't get freedom in order, you get freedom in chaos. It's kind of one of the logics to the world, if that's an easy way to explain it. Okay, but anyway, let's continue on with the rest of what I'm going to explain. Oh, there's no one upstairs. So, yeah, so I've done the three factions. I would have preferred staying with the order of Covenant in the start and keeping that as my faction. But since I did the changes, that means I can complete the game with the faction changes, and that's going to help me get a completionist finish on the game. You know what, that's fun for its part, and I'm gonna have fun with it. Most likely will enjoy most of it, so that's just another part to completing the game. So let's get into some of the other things that have to be discussed with today's discussion. So there is a video that was supposed to be made last week about the whole problem that was going on Vega, and the cheating and the lagging out of the server and how it was being done intentionally, and the response from Amazon. Now, unfortunately, I'm not going to go through all of that again because Amazon has shown that they do not care. So, you know what's the use in beating on the drum that's already totally drummed out? If you get what I'm saying, there's no use in that. So, I'm not even going to bother. Actually don't want to get onto the island at night because it's too dangerous at night. Oh, and the lag factor is thanks to the patch that came out. I'll explain all of that in a minute or two. So let's try and give everything that was here. This is going to be so complex, but I think I can do it. I think I can give a good enough explanation to what has happened in the game. So, the update launched as it was supposed to launch on the prescribed time. It had problems as would be expected by anything that comes out of Amazon Studios, and I'd say that it had a large amount of problems versus a small amount of fixes. So yeah, that's the first part. If you're being objective about it, if you want to be subjective and you want to give them some benefit, they administered updates. However, the updates failed to rectify problems on the server and resulted in side problems. That is the fair, basic, easy way of saying it. It's very polite. It's not factual. It's actually favorable to the narrative. It actually gives them some credible doubt and some reasonable excuses they can use for whatever purpose they may have for it. So yeah, that's how it goes. Okay, so part one of the whole story is done. Oh sweet, more diamond gypsum. Okay, so first thing they did was they patched the glitch on the Ice Gauntlet that was allowing people to lag out complete servers, freezing wars, so that motion may occur on only one side of the field. And when we say motion, we don't mean legitimate motion. We mean they cause a lag storm so that the war takes longer than the prescribed limit. All they've got to do is lag you out, provided they can lag switch the situation correctly. So if you can switch against the lag perfectly, you can maintain a person uh, in the laggy situation. So the lag doesn't affect the people who are lagging the server, and you end up in the winning seat because you've got everything on your side. Nobody can take you on. You basically take the unfair advantage, and that's how you win the day for whatever purpose you have behind your participation in that type of a war. So that was what was happening, and that's the glitch that was being majorly exploited. And companies and individuals from massive Discord servers had publicly come out stating they were doing this. And when they asked why, they said they wanted to ruin the game for others. They don't intend to play fair. Sorry about that. They did not intend to play fair. They intended to actually cheat. And the beauty of it, like I said, you know, when they cause pressure and people are under the pressure to do things, you're going to get some bad behavior, and some of it should be overlooked depending on the structure. Like, you know, when a person does something just to benefit themselves and benefit their team, and you know, something small like that, you understand it. But when people do this here on this scale to kill the game, you have to take an action against them, because they are literally trying to stop everybody else from playing the game. What can you do against them? Well, because they've been caught. I'm not approving of banning people on the games for poor construction of the game. I'm saying that their fix should have been placing all of these individuals in a single server with no transfer windows, with minimum slots. So in other words, if there's 600 people who are part of these alliances where they doing it intentionally and they playing maliciously to cause these problems, lock their availability to one server, give them a maximum of 100 entries per the server, and force them all on that one server as punishment for what they have done. And obviously people will leave those companies, they leave that type of behavior behind, because if they get caught doing it again, they'll just end up right back there where gaming becomes eternal hell, right? And these guys are doing it wherever the servers get big. So yeah, that's just one of the things, and that's how it goes. So currently I am on Riot Tree because of that happening on Vega. And it wasn't only Vega, just for by the way, this was happening across the world. Several teams were doing it, and you know, I wouldn't be surprised if the very developers of this game were part of it, because they seem malicious in the manners, the mannerisms they take to program this game. The efforts they go through to break the game is definitely a good enough show that they aren't here for the benefit of it. And I'm not even being mean by what I'm saying. I'm actually being so factual that I'm feeling a bit unfair to not putting a bias in this as yet. I'm trying to find a place for a bias, and I still can't place a bias. So yeah, that's just the reality of it. It's that far gone. Oh yeah, by the way, their weapon patches are abysmal. They've actually put in some kind of lag delay on your weapons, so when you override a command, you no longer can engage it. So yeah, they've done things fantastically in the Amazon way. You know, if it isn't broken, we'll break it for you. So yeah, Amazon has succeeded at their philosophy. They've really ruined the game, right? There's not even a reason to just play with those statements. I can just come out with it and say it as it is. They have absolutely ruined the game. As far as restoring anything to this game, it'll take a miracle to restore this game at this point, considering the amount of damage they've done. I'm not even sure if the damage they have done can be fixed. Oh yeah, and there is a new glitch. These packages won't open. Something must have been done to block some kind of function. You know how it is with these guys. They've been cheating the game so hard to try and buy for time so that they don't have to do their work. That right now everything is noticeable. Uh, that's the problem with buying time with cheap fixes. It becomes noticeable really quick, and when you get caught, and it isn't a pretty sight when people call you out on things like, oh yeah, well, you know, we saw that the game was really laggy the other day. Can you explain that? And the answer is, it wasn't laggy, it's just your connection. That's generally how they go for it. They try to accuse it on the side of the user because that makes it easier as an excuse for them, and they don't have to face the consequences of their actions in that manner. Okay. Whew. So let's go on to the next killer problem within the game, because I'm not even done with all of their update nonsense. They have once more upped the level of difficulty in certain actions. They have decreased the amount of weapon damage on several major weapons that deserve their damage. Example, the spear. Perforate needs to hit its complete round on a person for it to do massive amounts of damage. This increases the damage of other weapons. My stats have not changed since before the patch. However, wait, let me go to this here. My weapon damage has changed. You see this 817? It wasn't 817, it was actually a little bit higher, and it has come down. Okay, actually today it's higher than it was yesterday, but nonetheless it was even lower than this. And on the side of max health, my health was 15,000 yesterday, and now it's 1623, 53. That's because of the capture of one of the forts, and that's a whole other issue because those are other things that affect how you level up and level down, and there's just so much of politics to talk about in terms of those things, and I'm not even interested in talking about it because it's just poorly placed PvP reflections on your PvE activities. I've said it before, they need to separate the two sides of the game so that they do not break the game. But unfortunately, I do not have any hope for Amazon Studios. At this point, I count Amazon Studios as a subpar basement hack operation. And that is going to reflect on how I treat Amazon in the future because, to be honest, if that is the service level of Amazon, I might think of not supporting their products, because if they do this for the servers and for their gaming enterprise, which is one of the biggest enterprises you can be a part of, they really can do some bad things to you as a consumer buying products from them. I don't want to end up being ham-shammed by a bunch of fraudsters with a massive amount of money, and I think that is not an unfair way to describe it. But yeah, that's where they're heading. That's the type of opinion I hold of Amazon Studios, and it is going to affect my complete opinion of the company Amazon. So yeah, that's just me being honest about it from a blunt honesty point of view. There's no reason for me to lie about it. I'm being frank about it to you guys, and I hope that you also take some time to be a little bit frank about the game. Amazon Studios has shown poor ethic, poor quality, and poor overall workmanship. These are fixes that should have been here months ago. As I said, if you're going to roll out massive packages like this here, they have to be of a standard that is well above where you are. Just for a by the way, in the time that I do this video, I might return here a second time depending on what I get. Yeah, I'm gonna be back here again in a matter of minutes. I'll use the teleportation because of the reduction in teleportation price. This was something that never needed to be as expensive as it was. It was a slowdown technique to irritate players. Because it was so expensive, continuously teleporting to every teleporter in the game would finish your Azoth way too quickly. You couldn't even make a to and from two cities with regular jumps. So because of the factions and invasions dragging down your level, all of this was made as a secondary effect that started piling onto our standard gaming. And as you can see, the effects of it were high transportation costs. Everybody complained about it, and Amazon has listened to us almost 6 months later. So basically, if you want to count them on a fair competency level, you judge the amount of time it takes them to react on a broad spectrum problem. Transportation cost was something that just about everybody complained about. And if you count the amount of time it took for them to do it, well, it's quite simple. Their response time is 6 months. For every day you minus a point, 6 months in terms of days is times 30, and that gives you your percentage. How many percent of performance they have administered as a company. So, right? Uh, you can work that out if you want to. I already know it's 180. I was going to do the calculation, and then I say that you give them a 5-day leeway for responding to the message. You give them 3 days to actually complete patching, and you give them 3 days for testing. So let's remove that from the score marks of 180. So you give them 5 days plus 3 days plus another 5 days, so 13. Let's give them 14. So their final score on competency is minus 64%. That means they stand a better chance of ignoring you than actually helping you as a client, right? So just take that in a short form to note about this game, because if you are going to keep playing the game and you want to have a good experience, this basically tells you what's the chances of that good experience coming. And just by reference, you get what I'm saying. You can hope for a good performance of this game, but that's just wishful thinking. Okay, so you're gonna see how quickly I do this here. This is one of the easiest parts that I have, and you would have also noticed that content was killed last week. That's because from all of the stuff that I did last week, a lot of it was repetitive. In terms of conversations with my party, we were a little bit on the ruder side of things, so PG 18, and I don't think I want my channel to just be a ton of adult jokes non-stop with 5 adults talking to each other, because that's a little bit too grown up, should I say. It's a bit too serious for gaming content, and they also discuss their daily lives in there, which makes things so much more different, and yeah, you get the whole thing about it. Fortunately for me, this game was made with content creators disclosure agreement, so I don't really have to worry if that has to accidentally get published. But I am using a third party for it, which means that rules of engagement are somewhat limited when it comes to how things work. It's complex, just to say the least. Oh yes, and there is another thing, target acquisition. They've done something to the game's targeting systems on weapons like the sorry, I'm getting so confused here. On weapons like the one that I'm using right now, the spear, where your targeting isn't perfect. You actually start missing like crazy, and it even applies to targets right in front of you. I found that with the shield, when I do this assault, even if the cursor is pointing on them, it doesn't hit. Same thing with the shield bash. Same thing with other attacks. They've now become directional, and they've got some type of timing lock and load. They've also put additional aggro to assault weapons. It's a stall tactic, so players don't complete the dungeons efficiently, so that they don't continue to move up mutated level upon mutated level. And it's as simple as that. It's a stall tactic. You use it when you need to stall people so that they don't complete your game too quickly, and so you have more content for the future. So that's what they're after by the looks of it, and I'm being as fair as I can be just by using that as the excuse. Now, as I said, this gaming company loves using stall tactics to buy time for them to come up with fixes. And there's another one that attack. It actually is an AOE. So just by hitting the area, he should have had a bleed on him. Even if I hit him directly, I would have missed, and you're going to see it in a few seconds. Here we go. Oh no, that didn't miss. Just hit one. You have no idea how many times this has happened to me, so for me to say that it's an AOE is more like me counting times. That's just like, the observation bias. What would that be called? Schrodinger's cat observation theorem. So basically the cat is neither dead or alive until you view it, and the problem that I was seeing was there and not there until I said it was there, and then it wasn't there because you didn't see it in that moment. Although you might see it at a different time, but that's just how it goes. I don't know if this just affects me so heavily, but I know that it affects other players similarly to me, because some people were saying that the game was even more broken than this. They weren't able to change weapons, and that just sounds wonderful. You did see the box that I tried to open earlier that just won't open no matter how hard I try. That's another big problem. What else was there? Oh yes, the change in the times for mutated orbs have also not been updated. That was supposed to have an additional couple of hours added to it for the convenience of the players. Unfortunately, that is not something that went through. Now, something else to note if you are a frequent follower to this channel, because I know there's some people who will show up about a day or two after the main bulk of my content has been done. The channel is going to slow down quite a bit at the moment. I have a major update in my real life qualifications, which I'm not going to really get into very heavily, but yeah, I'm busy with the update to my real life qualifications. As a result, I'm actually spending a lot of time on the qualifications, and that is taking up a lot of recording time. It's just that today I am totally fatigued from learning so much, so I have enough time to actually do this type of a report. Giving out information is quite easy, taking in information is quite difficult, and I don't know if anybody else applies the same logic as me, but that's just the way that I am. And hopefully the content will improve after a few weeks. This might take me another 3 to 4 weeks before I can actually complete what I need to, and then I'll be able to be out a little bit more in terms of content. So yeah, so about 3 to 4 weeks of slower content than normal. That might mean one video a week as a downside to it for 3 to 4 weeks, and then I'll try and get back into it. As I said, I really need a new piece of content. The interviews section, which I want to launch on my channel, might be one of the biggest things that I will hope interests you guys, because the interview section is going to be meant for people from companies to actually talk to each other, have a little bit of friendly banter. They're going to bicker a bit, they're going to fuss a bit, and the whole idea is to make a story. This doesn't reflect real life opinions. If anybody is bringing their real life opinion of a person in, nobody should know that it's the real life opinion. They can even say it's the real life opinion, but everybody is basically told that this is just basically for drama. I hope you understand that the drama created is just for the sake of drama. It's progress for the sake of progress, right? That's all, which is a pointless thing to do, but it still is fun to do it just for the sake of doing it. So I hope that it does give you quite a thrill when that does show up, because I'm hoping to hear purple faction leaders and green faction leaders all sitting here and talking to each other, and yellow leaders and everybody, and we get this whole conversation where someone says like, you dirty pirates are all gonna die, or you criminal syndicate are all gonna get your comeuppance, and your crime never pays, that what goes around comes around, silly little phrases that get there just for the sake of pushing a little topic every once in a while That is just the perfect little icing on top of the cake. What is this? Oh, little Simon, finally. It's a nocturnal enemy, I have to rush for that one. Now obviously this is my regular speed on this island hunting. I can kill a little Simon in little under 5 minutes with my best gear on. With bad gear it's about 15 minutes, but yeah, that's just the way that it is. I could actually do it even faster. I just have to tweak my strength a little bit, pull up my damage a lot, maybe even eat one or two of those carrot cakes and enjoy that for the whole fight. But I don't think I'm gonna take you all along on another little run. But basically this last update was a massive mess. Yet again the studio shows that they aren't doing work. They just haphazardly patching things together and calling it a patch, and they expect us to just swallow the pill as they did something for the game, and we should be happy that they're actually doing something instead of actually questioning anything that they do. You know, it's a common tactic from companies to try and get away with as little work as possible. The reason is it works out better for them to have a satisfied limited number of workers over having a massive number of workers who aren't satisfied, or even having top class satisfied workers is a better option, because if you have top class satisfied workers you have a good product and you get it. There's so much to add to that whole situation. I don't want to have to discuss every single piece of that. This is all part of the update patch. I've come through this island so many times before. This lack of loading is purely from this. Cut this here. I cut it in a matter of seconds. I just need to be out of the major parts of combat. And that is a good show as to how fast you can actually level up if you have these perfect little routes where you are absolutely efficient. The higher level the zone, if you are very efficient in, say for example Morningdale with the 15-minute recycle patch on your missions, that is the perfect place to go. So I'll see you all in the next one and have a good day.